do you think we will see more of this kind of, thing where we'll see, more countries adopting, Bitcoin or including Bitcoin in their, national framework when it comes to, financial, in that sense? Do you think we'll see more of, El Salvadorish, policies?
I believe so. I believe that we'll see more and more countries supporting Bitcoin and implementing it as a legal tender. Maybe some will be a little bit more shy and will just trying to push behind the scenes for at least more adoption for Bitcoin in the, let's say, national economy. Others will definitely follow the example in Salvador. So either case is fine. So you have to think about that El Salvador is taking some risk in being so public and so early with promoting Bitcoin. So we have been hearing from many places some criticism and really high levels of what they are doing. So sometimes I can see countries, and we are talking with the different countries that are asking us our advice on how to do things, how to enter in the Bitcoin world, and some of them are just considering Bitcoin as a different way for people to manage payments, internally in the currencies, just making it legal to offer Bitcoin related services, payments, and so on, rather than forcing it as a legal tender. So there are different ways, and we are in discussion with different governments that are asking our advice.
In relation to El Salvador, do you think the Lightning Network UI is ready for a whole nation of people to start using it for payments?
Well, I can tell you my experience. Today I tried to go on chivowallet.com, and it was giving me a 403 page from their CDN. So so the only thing that I could do was reading around in the news and trying to understand from screenshot how it was working. And my understanding, that might not be the truth or the correct, but my understanding is that it's quite buggy at the moment. And I believe that unfortunately it has been a little bit rushed, right? So you cannot develop a full Bitcoin Lightning wallet in 1.5 months unless you don't take one existing open source wallet off the shelves and you don't use that. So I think that with 1 month more, they could have done a much better job. But for example, I don't know if people can transfer out the Bitcoin from the wallet.
Yeah, it's something that I think is still developing. I believe, from what we understand, you can, if you have the Chivo wallet and your $30 you got airdropped by the government, you have to transfer it between Chivo wallets like 3 or 4 times, it looks like, before you can then send it out of the Chivo wallet ecosystem, which isn't perfect by any means, but I mean, I can kind of see their inspiration for doing that, but at the same time, it's not really a super open system, is it? So I suppose it's a little bit, but I guess they're trying to keep the value somewhat inside the country, and that seems to be the way they're doing it. But that looks like at the moment what it is that you have to transfer it a few times within that interface, and then you can send it out to Bitrefill, for example. Anyone who's listening.
So I have one question, since I think we are towards the end of the segment. What's next for Bitfinex? What do they have in store? What are the services are you guys hoping to launch in the future? Credit cards, debit cards, stuff like that.
So we're working on our own debit card solution. But I think that if I have to say one thing that I'm super excited of, is the thing that we just launched on Monday, that is called Bitfinex Securities. So we are basically the first crypto exchange actually going after traditional finance world. So we got a license in Khazakstan that is a great place, because has this financial framework that has been built on top of the UK and Dubai regulatory framework. That is, and with this license, we can offer actual tokenization of securities, so equities. We can offer tokenization of bonds, so corporate debt, And we also can offer tokenization of shares of funds. So you have a company in Nigeria, you have a company in Europe, anywhere, right? You can raise capital. Actually, Bitfinex Securities can run IPOs, not ICOs, not all those things in the crypto, but actual IPOs on behalf of companies or working with companies that want to do IPO. They might not be well suited for example, the London Stock Exchange, because they are maybe smaller than the cap that you have to bring in the London Stock Exchange. So we are looking at, we are basically setting up ourselves as the trading venue for small mid-cap companies that want to raise capital and have a liquid and efficient secondary market for their shares. So you have like maybe Ferrari wants to raise capital, or like an Italian football team wants to do an IPO and get listed. They can do it on Bitfinex Securities. So our competition started looking to listing tokenized shares of Apple, Google, and so on. But our idea was still building on our experience in crypto was, okay, but why should we reinvent the wheel? Why yet another location where you can trade the Google shares, right? There are like 1 gazillion places where you can trade Google shares. But why we wanted to focus on a platform that could give access to smaller companies to a new way to raise capital, and an efficient platform, a simple platform with all the regulatory requirements, but still with a streamlined process that has been brought and built thanks to years of Bitfinex experience. So with Bitfinex, we learn a lot about customers. We learn a lot about corporates that trade on Bitfinex and so on. We know which processes they are used to. So we design our, the entire framework, the entire processes of Bitfinex Securities around that. So we already in this, we got the first 2 projects on board that are, one is Exorbium, that is an online morph game that has Bitcoin. You get Bitcoin rewards and so on. And the other one is Blockstream mining unit. So you get let's say a share of let's say you can acquire a share of basically their mining node that will give you a return in Bitcoin through the mining that Blockstream is doing through that vehicle. And then we are already aligned different legal firms around the world that have clients that say, well, we are not interested to go to the usual suspect to get listed, because they are just going to squeeze us. Well, we want to work with someone that comes from the new financial system, and so they are extremely interested in that. And I believe that Bitfinex Securities is well positioned to bring let's say the Bitcoiner experience to also traditional finance.
Sounds pretty cool. Is it the case that if you just to ask about, because it sounds like a good idea, is it the case that if you're fully verified on Bitfinex and you have X amount of funds on there, you could literally just kind of use those funds and the similar interface that we use for crypto for the securities, right? So
yes, that's correct. So you have to move the funds you have to basically do a self attestation because that is for regulatory requirements. So there is an additional step. Then you can just create a Bitfinex Securities sub account. You become a Bitfinex Securities member in this way. So you can just move the funds from your master account to your Bitfinex Securities account. And we will list pairs against Bitcoin, Tether, dollar, and you can invest in Bitcoin in the IPOs as well.
Pretty cool, actually. I like the idea of that. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's somewhat similar anyway to, I don't know, say you're using, the closest thing I can think of is using like KuCoin, and you have like your trading balance and your, whatever the other balance is called, if you use their exchange. So I guess it's similar to that, right? You'd have you might put my crypto balance, and then I've got to make a step to move it over to my stock trading, whatever shares balance. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's quite cool. No, that's a cool idea. Has anyone got any last questions, I suppose, before we?
Yeah, one last question. Why do you think that security tokens never took off like in 2019 when they were like a buzzword?
Well, because actually everyone was talking about it, but there was no regulation. And we found out that it took 18 months in Kazakhstan to work with the regulator to get them comfortable with our processes. We engage with them. We show that all our KYC AML processes, our interest and willingness to respect all the regulatory requirements. It is not a walk in the park, right? So you have to be ready. And in the end, as we are seeing, I mean, if you are dealing with securities, or like if you are dealing with tokens that are hiding behind the finger, but actually are securities, you might see a regulator coming after you, right? So we are. So I believe that the world was not ready at that time, and the Kazakhstan is also a place that is also really open to crypto as well. So we didn't have to convince them that crypto is actually a good thing. They know already. They work in the. They have now, especially with the China crackdown on crypto. They are seeing a lot of interest coming from Asia, all over Asia, to Kazakhstan, and so they were happy and welcoming us. At the same time, of course, they wanted to guide us to make sure that we wouldn't sleep on anything, because again, this regulation on Thor. So to summarize, in 2019, there was no clear good regulator that would allow a crypto company, because remember, when you apply, they first look at you and they say, okay, you crypto, okay, a cross over your name, right? So now we found this jurisdiction, and they are well equipped. So that's why we are here now.
Nice. I appreciate your answers and your time and your expertise. It's been awesome to talk to you, Paolo. And I say it's been great to have you on. And forever thankful that you took time to do it. And thanks to all of the listeners as well. Thanks to Jerry and Ricardo. But we'll close up. I hope everyone has an awesome day, morning, evening, afternoon, week, whenever you're listening. Enjoy. Thanks very much. Take care, everyone, and keep buying Bitcoin.